And we're live. Hello! Welcome everybody to Kahaaniyaan. It's been like forever. We've only missed one of our scheduled sessions. But it feels like a month because it has been a month. Welcome back. We are now getting into fall, and SADS is a bitch. I suffer from it because I have melanin, so it was really hard to do the previous session, but we're back, and for anybody who suffers from SADS, I feel ya. Uh, that said, let us quickly go around the table and introduce the players. And let's just I'm just gonna keep blabbering incessantly, so I'll just go be like, "Hey, Connie, what's up?"
Not much, Mariam. Thank you for having me on this wonderful show. I'm Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I play the illustrious doctor in our campaign, Jantali Tahid. You can find me on Twitter at by Connie Chong. You can also find my own live stream, actual play campaign, at Transplanar RPG on Twitch and Twitter. We are an all transgender, person of color led 100% homebrew tabletop campaign, and episode 8 is coming out this Saturday at 3 p.m. Central on Twitch. So give us a follow. We're super new listener, new viewer friendly. We'd love to have you there. Transplanar RPG. That's me. I'm gonna pass it on. Can I nominate Morgan?
Sure.
I guess. I mean, there are no rules here. There are no rules. Hi, I'm Morgan. My pronouns are they, them, and she, her interchangeably. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. I do podcast stuff. I do live stream stuff. There's way too much to count. Just follow me, please. And I know what my brain hurts from thinking. Anino, tag your ed.
Hey everyone, my name's Anino. I use he, him pronouns, and for this game I play Gojin, also known as Nabir, but nobody else really knows that because it hasn't really come up yet. And I don't really have much to plug right now or comment about, other than the fact that the only thing that's going to get me through this episode of Kanya tonight is this big glass of rum that I have to my left.
I guess that's me. I'm Bashir. I play Rahim, our resident lizard. Horrible gremlin is probably the most very large horrible gremlin, I guess. I am a freelance writer in the RPG community, as well as a independent game designer. I've got stuff coming out with Paizo, Spire, a lot of reasonably large RPGs in the near future. Unfortunately, this means I haven't done indie stuff for a while. Fortunately, it means I have enough work that I'm not doing indie stuff for a while. So yeah, that's me. You can find me at Twitter at Bashir Gauss.
And yeah, I am your guide for this evening, Mariam. You can find me here, usually either producing, being the little gremlin in the background, or here in this game. And I'm also the GM for the Musafirs, and I'm also part of the Prison Pals cast. And recently, since it's now public and it was announced at PAX, I am a contributing writer for Lost Omens Mwangi Expanse, which is pretty exciting. And with all our introductions done, let us do a recap. It has been a while. And if you are new here, you will know, you won't know. I'm telling you now. I don't usually give a recap. I let the players do that because I delegate. That's the word. So who would like to give a recap of what happened last game? A lot of stuff happened.
If I remember correctly, our crew had to make a hasty departure from the city due to a misunderstanding with a misunderstanding with
Yes,
an
very
employer.
much in a
Clearly murdered a
misunderstanding.
guy and beat the crap out of like 3 others.
But details.
Listen, they had it coming, okay?
I agree with you, to be clear. But I do think that the corpses are something we need to be clear about.
Well, a corpse.
Yes.
I mean, a corpse. We gotta specify it was a corpse.
Yes.
Yes.
The corpses
Just
come later.
Yes.
So but anyhow, our intrepid crew manages to hook up with a merchant caravan and made their way out of the city, and eventually broke off from the caravan to visit a ghost town, one that was, I believe, stripped down and run barren by the family in which Rahim's employers.
The
Come from.
Lohari family.
I think so. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't have my notes and I have rum. So,
Perfect! Then I don't have to come up with names or keep track of names.
yeah.
I take notes, dang it. But I didn't write names.
Wonderful! I can't be accused of changing stories except for anyone who follows the VODs.
But anyway, so they managed to make their way into the ghost city, and then they started investigating it in order to really determine what happened there. The crazy uncle dude who disguises himself as a cat and totally creeps out Johnsely with great ire.
Do not trust him. Mm-mm.
It explained his history with a former lover, now deceased. And I believe that's where we pretty much
as y'all stated, it was y'all were playing telephone with the spirit, because Gojin was asking the questions, Johnsley was translating, and it's just a whole back and forth. But I do have notes that the spirit of the woman was not supposed to marry Uncle Cat, because I call him Uncle Cat and I don't know what his real name is. This was a wedding feast for her to be wed to someone else. His family held the feast for them. They were the ones who poisoned, but Uncle Cat says they didn't. Forced her to marry someone else. Spirit Lady's mother poisoned the entire meal. Johnsley and Gojin are burying the bodies, and Rahim and Tulsi are off exploring.
Yeah, that sums it up. So there was a little bit of like he said, spirit said, going on, and just to clear up that little bit, was they loved each other, but through some machinations of his father, he was sent away at the time she was getting married. She was essentially getting married to someone else under the guise of getting married to him. And somehow through some other misunderstandings, which are not quite clear, because Uncle Cat, that is now his name, even though he does have a name, Ranja, basically, it's like, well, you can just call me Billy, which, and then Rahim's like, but that just means cat. So through some misunderstandings that even Uncle Cat doesn't quite know the full story, apparently there was some poisoning and it accidentally went into all of the food than just one particular person, and they all just died. And the only people that you know of that survived and are still living and breathing, or at least survived to do more, was his father and his brother. And of course the children after.
Well, I certainly hope so. But I mean, give us some time. We'll reduce that number.
Yikes.
Look, I'm just saying, peaceful resolution hasn't worked out for us so far.
So I believe also that your reluctant NPC is currently in the shape of a large panther or something of that sort to dig easier, and is very insistent about burying one particular set of bones. Let us start off with the investigators going inside the big house here.
Am I an investigator now?
I guess so.
Oh,
Yeah, so you enter this house. Most of it has been about 20 or 30 years, you think, since this was last uh since this was last inhabited. So anything that basically would disintegrate in 20 or 30 years, not doing very well. A lot of the wood, if it's not already either a combination of dry or rotting or both, uh, is the house is not great. However, a lot of the building materials, the structure and foundation, is made of stone, which is just mostly gently eroded and mossy, and all the different ravages of time that have taken over it. There is It is essentially a two-story building, sort of like similar to what you can see in the background, minus all the laundry that's there. Um, where the it has sort of that half roof, like the roof is meant to be also an area where people can either live in or do stuff, where it's got like a 2 or 3 foot wall just to prevent people from falling off. uh and as you enter, there is a big inner courtyard with a sort of like stepwell, and where it looks like you can see bits and pieces of straw and wicker and various things that would have been day beds and various furniture for people to relax in and around, mostly gone. There's just debris of leaves uh, and stuff. And you see that there are several doors and like maybe about 4 or 5 doors, and a staircase leading up to more rooms up, which you could actually see the doors facing outside that can sort of look into the courtyard. And the doors are mostly, they're barely hanging on by a thread because they're a little more inside and away from some of the elements. The doors are a little more maintained, but for the most part, most of them are like wide open. Either one door is missing if it's a double door. Yeah, all over the place. What do the two of you do as you enter?
Let's see. I think Rahim's like stepping in, looking back, checking on oh god, I'm blanking on names. It's been too long.
I should probably put my name in chat just so, or at least rename myself in the Zoom chat so you can.
I should also do that. I've got everything changed up from
Dulcie, Rahim, Dulcie.
Yeah, Dulcie. There we go. I'm getting confused with a player in like one of the other home games I have, and it's like, that's not right. I cannot say that on stream. That's going to be an issue. Yeah, he's looking back, checking on Tulsi, and stepping in, trying to make sure that they don't like fall into any sort of weird traps or run into an angry ghost who's been here for 30 years and is less talkative than the one outside. But he's basically beelining for personal quarters and trying to find anything that survived the years and hasn't been like. This place doesn't seem like it's been actively looted, right? It's more kind of.
Yeah,
Just
you
used?
think it's just been abandoned, essentially. Dulcie, speaking
Uh-huh.
of which, as you
Yeah.
enter and you see the courtyard, in the center is a sort of a, not an altar. An altar is the wrong word, but essentially it's a, box, a raised box that's about 2 or 3 feet up, and that's in the center of the courtyard. And you see your namesake, mostly dried husk of a bush, um, there.
It's another friend.
No, it's another. It's a tulsi plant in the center.
That's what you would say. I think. Oh, I think. Yeah. They were following around him for a bit, and then they look out, they see that, and they just, once just gently curve off by themselves. So the next time Ron turns around, nobody's there.
I think the moment he realizes this, he just kind of follows outside in the hopes that Dulcie has more of an idea of what to look for than he does.
Oh my god, you're following the wrong person.
Okay, so you know that
Look, you take what you can get.
you know that in these houses, personal quarters tend to be on the floor above, as the ground floor would tend to be more communal spaces and guest places. Although a study might be here, you could take a cursory look in some of the rooms. Uh, um, you know what? Why don't you roll me a d20 to see how fast you find a room that might yield some information.
18.
18. Yeah, so you look without having to get into like rooms too much. You notice that most of the rooms here, there's a place that leads to outside, more sort of the backyard, where it's sort of a kitchen slash barbecue area, like a food preparation area and a washing area. And the remaining rooms uh, are kind of like guest rooms and living rooms, and stuff like that. So you know that you probably need to go upstairs. And you see Dulcie making a beeline to the very several years dried out husk of a tulsi plant in the center.
Huh. That's interesting. Let's see. I think I'm just going to be like, I'm trying to find anything written. I'm going to let Tulsi do her thing and hope that horrible consequences don't happen. And I'm looking for written records of what was going on here in just the vain hope that I can find something solid before giant plant monster starts trying to eat us or something.
Okay.
In me.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Mm-hmm.
So you head upstairs, and you actually still have a pretty good view of Tulsi. And we'll get to you in a bit. And you find what looks to be a master bedroom with an adjoining study, which probably is the jackpot. If you're gonna find any information, it probably will be there. Just very quickly, because I really like stringing this along. Hey, people outside doing the burial stuff. What y'all doing?
Hey. I think probably at this point, Johnslee's depending on how many dead bodies there are, we're either like maybe halfway
They're
done
about 20. Yeah, most of them are right now just bones and shreds of cloth. Whatever has still survived the ravages of time, which is mostly bones.
Cool.
There's like maybe about 15-ish bodies, let's just say.
Cool. Johnsely is, I think, pretty much done with her portion of the corpses, skeletons, bones, puts down the shovel, and just sort of plops down on like a nearby rock, but leaning against the shovel, using it as sort of a seat backing. And she's like covered in like dirt. Like her usually beautifully coiffed hair is kind of like a little disheveled. There's like dirt caked underneath her fingernails, and she looks tired. She's just sort of like leaning against this rock and wordlessly observes Gojin.
Hey, Gojin, what's up?
Not a whole lot. How are you? Right. Gojin has pretty much finished as well. He's just sort of packing down the dirt with his shovel. He is sweating profusely because it is a very warm climate, and he had worked with very high pace. And so he had stripped off his shirt as he was doing so, and would look around and then reach into his pack and start assembling some items to make his tea as a break.
And as you both are sitting down and taking a breath, you notice that Rancha had actually finished making the grave, and over the sort of the mound, this very small mound that is visible, is kind of just resting on it, stretched out like sad puppy, well, sad kitty, just on there, just glazed eyes, just resting.
Well, at least now the spirit of your loved one will be put to rest.
And there's like a small murp that you hear.
Do you want a bone or something? I don't. Some meat? Would that make you feel better?
Eyes just stare at you like, bone? Really? Too soon.
Oh, sorry, that was a little insensitive. I'm trying to cheer you up.
The head just turns back to where it was, and the ears are just kind of doing this, like listening but not really turning towards you.
All right, well, if you want to try drinking some funky potions that might turn you into stone or make you really strong, I can't guarantee which. Let me know. I'll be around.
You should probably stick to being a doctor and not a salesperson, because that was a very terrible pitch.
Hey, I'm trying, okay? Mr. Muscle Man. At least some of us care about the plight that others are going through. I'm not very good at this whole comforting thing.
I think he just needs space, which is why I haven't been trying to bother him a whole lot. And Gojin is doing this as he's preparing a little fire to put the kettle on.
Johnsley watches carefully. What are you doing?
I'm making some tea. It's what I usually do after I finish a very taxing job.
What is it about tea that you like so much anyway?
What isn't there to like about tea?
Leaf water? I mean, I guess it could be nice. There are definitely, anti-carcinogenic values to tea, depending on the oxidation process, but I don't really know too much about it. It's just another beverage to me. I mean, why not coffee? Why not beer?
Well, beer is a little more intensive to make. It's not like I can sort of just bring out a barrel of hops and start fermenting while I'm on the road.
That's true. Hmm.
And casks are pretty heavy. Tea you can make anywhere so long as you have fresh water.
So it's the convenience that appeals to you.
That and the warm fuzzy feelings that I get from drinking it.
Hmm.
Plus, you grow up on a tea plantation. You kind of either love it or you're going to hate it. So I chose to embrace it.
I see. You don't really strike me as a tea guy, given all the. I would have thought you were more of a meat and potatoes kind of person. But I guess everyone comes with their surprises. Which plantation?
Oh, Northeast.
Is that was that the name of the plantation, or where it is generally on this earth?
Just this, just a general cardinal direction. If you will.
Okay, I get it. You're a secretive, private person. I understand. We've all got this, skeletons in our closets. Sorry again. No offense meant. Johnsonly turns to Cat Uncle when she says that. I won't pry. Can I have a cup though?
He did actually set out tea for 3.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, of course.
Oh, well, thank you. Johnsonly gets up and she goes over to the tea. She gives it a sniff. What kind of tea is it? Is it like green tea, black tea?
It's black tea.
Black tea, cool. She picks it up, sniffs it, goes, it smells good. What kind of blend is this?
Let's say it's a special blend from my village. Not made for me, made by an associate of mine.
Is this village also a general cardinal direction of the northeast quadrant?
Yes, it is.
I see. It's very unique. I love the undertones.
It's a very strong tea. It actually mixes very well with milk and sugar, although I tend to drink it straight black.
Oh, is that so? Well, I don't have any milk or sugar on me right now, unless, can you turn into a cow?
And you see a tail sticking up, oddly reminiscent of when, the middle finger.
Oh, sorry. Bedside manner is one of the things that you're supposed to develop as a doctor, but it's one of the few skills that eludes me to this day. I wonder why. Great tea. I can see why it would mix well with sugar, and it's a little strong for me. She puts it down.
Black tea tends to be like that. Personally, I prefer an oolong tea, but I seem to be out of that at the moment.
Well, whenever you are back in stock with oolong tea, I would love to try some. Should I pay you for this? I have some coin in my pouch.
No, it's fine.
Thank you, Gojin. Johnsley looks really awkward, just sort of squatting there, drinking tea next to a bunch of freshly turned graves.
It's quite the scene. You, a panther, or a big cat. I'm not sure what cat I said in the previous episode. We'll just go with the panther and stick with it. And Gojin, shirtless, serving tea.
Yep. Huh, I wonder where Tulsi and Rahim are. I wonder what they're up to.
And cut to Rahim. You enter the master bedroom. Wonderful segue there. And you see that, there's some debris sort of in the first third of where the entrances and windows are. But it's big enough that there's actually, aside from a general layer of dust of time, it's fairly intact. The beds are made of some harder wood, which seems to have not have been exposed as much to the elements. There is some bleaching in certain places where the window would hit at a certain time. There's the uh the hard, it's sort of like a four-poster bed. Whatever linens and sheets and the mattress is mostly like if you touch it it'll just go poof. It's been sitting there for 20, 30 years. There is a little room adjoining into what looks to be the Lord of the Manor study, where there is another, again, one of the few furnitures that seem to have survived the ravages of time, is this really nice hardwood desk and a couple of hardwood bookshelves. The books are in various state of decay, but that is what you see. You are muted somewhere.
People have recovered more from less, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Rahim strides into the study. He gives the bed like a quick one over, checks the window to see if he can close it so that at least it doesn't, or cover it with sheets or with like if it has blinds or anything, so at least it doesn't bleach further. And then steps into the study and starts poring over the tomes, trying to see what's not too decayed. He has the dossier. Draws a book from inside his clothes. The dossier is a magic item that copies information that you press the page to. So if I find anything, even if the book's not in great repair, I can get words. I can at least get what's written down, even if we wouldn't be able to transport the book. So he's let's see, he's got kind of he's skimming over them. He's not taking them out, but he's kind of looking over spines and the like to see does anything look like a ledger? Does anything look like a personal journal? And once he has some idea of what's on the shelves, like how much of this is just the guy's personal collection, and then once he has an idea of what's on the shelves, he's going to go over the desk pretty thoroughly because he figures like anything in there's probably survived pretty well, and any good desk has at least one secret compartment.
Yes. So as you go through sort of path of least resistance, starting with that, as you check the bed, you actually find something metal draped through sort of attached to scraps of cloth, which you think might have been the veil of the mistress of the house once upon a time. You know that a lot of times the house keys are actually tied to the veil of the mistress, and is also used as a weight to kind of help with the draping, and also just an easy access thing. So you find on it about 4 or 5 keys and 2 or 3 tinier keys.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you find, since you did mention you checked the bed, you find it sort of under where you think the heads would have been, like the pillow, like that area. And it is actually the keychain itself is a really nice, almost like a jewelry piece. Like you could wear it and it would be decorative. And it has a couple of gemstones in it. It could be valuable on its own. And
I wear like, is it like an earring or something, or like
no, it's more like if you've seen
jewelry to attach your clothes.
If you've seen Bengali saris and sort of the longer saris where they kind of wrap it above and on top almost.
Yeah.
So it's like diamond shaped, and then there's a little sort of key ring where you can have keys. So that's actually made out of gold and some really small, very tiny gemstones. You think they might be worth something. And then the keys themselves are brass. And the smaller keys are made of iron.
So I'm going to attach the keyring to myself somewhere suitably decorative, and head on over, see if like maybe this unlocks something in the drawer, or maybe it'll just come in useful later.
Yeah.
Or maybe this will unlock something on the desk, or maybe it'll just come in useful later.
Yeah, and so the bookshelves themselves, it seems to have a variety of like literature of the time, about at least 20, 30 years old. Most of them have got like bookworm holes in them, or mold, or various things. Uh, the the books that are sort of higher up, away from like the window sort of height, have survived a little better, and it looks like those are like ledgers of like the expenses of the estate, like goods coming in, harvests coming in. They're mostly boring numbers and stuff like that, but they might be useful. You don't know. Um but there's nothing there that catches your eye beyond these are the estate accounts, ranging up to maybe 20, 30 years, up to the point in which it got abandoned.
All right. I think grab like so I'll grab a ledger from like before I think Uncle was like 15 years ago or something before they would have come here, or 5-10 years ago, something before the company would have come, or the family would have come here. And then the most recent like two ledgers, just so I have them to compare with each other. And I'll start looking them over, just kind of seeing if there's anything immediately important.
So it looks like there is no from when you think the company was formed or whatever. It looks like things were fine, like weren't doing bad, weren't doing well. They were doing getting by just fine. Um, Towards the last two ledgers, you see that they're doing much, much better, but it isn't from harvest. It isn't from this estate. It seems to be coming from trading of goods in general, except there's a very clear, abrupt ending of it.
And so, like, had that windfall kind of collapsed before everyone died, or
It
are those
seemed
like the same time?
overnight, but it doesn't seem to be related to the sudden abandonment of this village. It seemed
All right,
almost several months before it.
So I'm definitely getting that down in the dossier. Get like 1 or 2 pages around when it's picked up, and then like 1 or 2 when it first like when things were normal. And then let's see.
And these are just the bookshelves at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just from without making use of any keys, without examining the desk or doing anything else. These are just what you find. The desk does look like they have drawers, and it looks like some of them have keyholes.
Nice. I will start testing keys on keyholes. Do we want to cut outside to what's happening to Tulsi?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. And Tulsi, you see this 20, 30-year-old dried out husk of a Tulsi plant. What do you do as you approach it and see it? You know that when it is in the center of a courtyard, in the center of a home, that it is given a place of reverence. It is given a place of importance where it is kept as a sign of good luck, good fortune, and it would have been watered regularly and taken care of, being in the center of the courtyard.
I think Tulsi's going to, obviously knowing all that, is going to make sure that like it's not dead all the way through. Like maybe see if there's like some roots that are still living or anything like that. Like so, they're like putting their hands in there.
Do you have an ability you can use, or are you just doing?
Let's see. Let me look at my. I should have looked at these before.
That's okay. If you don't have a particular skill you think could work you can simply roll a d20 and go from there.
I have command nature,
All right.
which is my rhyming couplet one that I usually use, but it's on living plants. So
All right. Let's see. Then roll a d20 to see if there is anything to revive from this, or if it is dead.
I got a 15.
15. Even though the bulk of it is essentially dead, weathered, and gone, there is at the bottom of the house. You can feel it from your tingly, spidery senses, that there is a very marginal sense of life in the deep roots that run at the base of this courtyard. Just barely there. It's basically been dehydrated to death.
Yeah, I think
No one's been here for 20, 30 years.
I think Tulsi's gonna. Why is my throat like this? Sorry, hold on. Ugh, sorry, y'all. You didn't need to hear that. I think Tulsi's going to start pulling out the husk at least, so that at least the excess is out of the way,
Yeah.
and get like some water. Is there like a buckets around or like ponds or like reflecting ponds still or?
There is a well outside.
Okay.
And since you have determined from the previous session that the food had been poisoned and not the water, you think the water should be fine. The well water should be okay.
Yeah, Tulsi's gonna run out there and get the bucket and pump water into the bucket, and then
as you do that, you see currently Gojin making tea. You see the panther kind of laid out, sort of protective over the one particular grave, and Jansuli resting. And you see Tulsi running out and starting to pump water very in a frantic way.
Everything okay, Tulsi?
yeah, I'm just trying to save a plant.
Oh, classic Tulsi. Carry on.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get a bucket of water. You I assume you're trying to toss it onto the I guess altar. I hate using the word, like, sometimes in English there are
Shrine?
words. Shrine. Yeah, shrine might be better. And as soon as you throw it in, it just disappears, like as if it's like it's thirsty.
It's a thirsty boy? Or is
Yeah,
that...
yeah, it's a thirsty boy. It's like as if you didn't put any water in whatsoever.
Yeah, I think Tulsi's gonna check the soil, make sure like the soil's like dry, and if it's like, I understand. All right, buddy. And they run out and they like pump another thing of another bucket of water and like run back in.
It takes about 4 or 5 buckets before it's like, okay, the color is starting to change a little and it looks like it's being hydrated.
I think Gojin and Johnsley just see Tulsi just running back and forth with a bucket.
Are you sure you don't need help?
Yeah, I'm good. This plan is like just, it's barely alive and I'm trying to save it.
Oh, okay. I don't know if my medicinal knowledge will be able to help a plant. But
It won't. And Tulsi run back in.
all right, take care.
Yeah, so it takes about 4 or 5 buckets before the color of the soil starts to change and starting to look a little more hydrated and a little more balanced. But of course, there's no immediate change.
Yeah, I think Tulsi's gonna just sit there for a second and like stick their finger like in the soil to see if they can actually feel like the roots.
Yeah, the roots are there. They're mostly they're a little more turgid now that there's water, but overall it is touch and go for the most part. No one's attended this plant for 20, 30 years. It's got a lot of recovery. It's like, when someone's been severely dehydrated and you suddenly give them a lot of water, it still takes time. Unless
I
there's
think they just
some
I think
magic.
they kind of holding a baby's hand where it's just like one finger
Yeah.
and they just like grab onto it. I think that's what Tulsi's doing like with their finger, just like sticking it like down in the dirt and like trying to grab a root. And I am going to use my command nature. Basically, as they do that, and they're just sort of like leaning and their hands like down in there and like holding the root, and they're just gonna say, "Water." Oh, hold on. I'm trying to think of it. Like, water is life. Life is water. Hopefully, this will help you thrive and not be a bother. and and so they just start like saying that, and they're like just keeping the roots company. And with the command nature, it means that your brief poem entreats the plants to produce a harmless effect by moving or growing slightly. The things you want to manipulate must be within range. You make trees rustle, cause leaves to fall, get plants to bloom, vines to expand, and seeds to sprout.
Yeah, you see the roots starting to kind of curl a little and like shoot down a little, and one or two little buds appear, the tiniest of buds, like they're like under like 5 millimeter, just barely poking.
Yeah. I think Tulsi's just gonna stay there because I don't know how they're gonna help Rahim, so they're just gonna hang out in the courtyard.
Yeah. So Rahim,
right.
as you're checking the drawers, the smaller keys actually are the ones that open up the drawers, and in it you see a variety of papers that are actually well preserved. Like not
Ooh.
like we're talking more like vellum or like
Mhm.
like scrolls, and cloth. There's ink that two of the containers, it doesn't look like they were completely sealed, so they are just dry and essentially um dyed the glass jar. One of them actually is perfectly viable, perfectly like black ink, that you could use for a variety of applications, and several peacock quills as well that look somewhat preserved, being in the very nice hardwood desk. You find what looks to be several journals.
Excellent. Yeah, let's take a look through the journals first and then see if they'll shed light on what the paperwork is and pocket that in.
Oh, those are plain papers. Like they're not.
Yeah,
you can use them.
Read the
For
journals first and then the other stuff. Or are the journals the papers?
There is blank papers and journals.
Oh, it's blank paper. Okay, yeah. Okay then. Sorry, I
And
misunderstood. I thought there was
what
something
looks
on
like
them.
some sort of a wax seal and some wax seal supplies.
Ooh, that might be real nice.
You
Grab
don't
that.
know you don't know what the seal signifies, but it is a very nice wax seal.
Yes, but it also means we can now sign correspondence sealed by some long dead dude, which
Perhaps.
is a great tool for horrible chaos. But yes, let's read these journals.
Yeah, so most of the initial journals are kind of very typical boy growing up sort of things of I did this, I did that, I saw this person and I really liked them and stuff. And the later journals seem to have maybe something that you can use. It talks about a you also notice that there's always one person called Kaniz, always mentioned, which you gather is like a servant, like a companion slash servant, like a valet or something that always accompanies the um, patriarch of this family, Kainat Lohari. And there's one thing that catches your attention, which is on a trade route when they were going through the Registani desert and the trading routes, they had stopped somewhere to rest for the evening. And since it was it was the first time that they were traveling through this road, they decided to wander a little past their camp just to check things out, see things a little. And they found a ring on a road while resting. Uh, the Kahaaniyaan picked it up, looked at it, and saw it was somewhat cheap and gave it as a present to Kaniz. As soon as Kaniz wore it, the ring attached itself to Kaniz. And while it was slightly painful, they wondered if they had accidentally picked up a cursed ring of some kind. And that changed when they were walking back and they were thirsty, and Kaniz accidentally wished for a pot of cold water, and lo and behold, a pot of cold water appeared before him, perfect in every way. Realizing what it could do, Kahaaniyaan realized that they could make a lot of money from making these just wishing them into existence without having to wait for them to be made, the time and effort it took to be made. And things were going well for several weeks, where they basically they could actually trade goods much faster because they didn't have to wait for it to be made. They could just on the road see what's in demand, wish several copies of it, and sell it and make a tidy profit. Except one day when they were wishing a particular artisan good, Kaniz just right before his eyes turned to dust and leave the ring behind. And that shook up Kahaaniyaan quite a bit. And that's about as much as you get before you realize that there's more, which I will reveal as you spend time. But that is when you start to realize it's starting to get almost too dark to finish reading here by yourself inside the manor.
So Rahim just grabs these, goes out the door, sprints basically to the window to yell down to Tulsi, sees Judsley there, starts going, we have proof, and he realizes that the story means that the ring can kill you if you use it, which he did not know beforehand. And he freezes. Oh shit, this thing can kill me.
The description being sort of key thing, I watched as my beloved friend crumbled to dust, and all that was left behind was this ring.
Oh shoot, okay, so Judsley, I have really bad news.
What?
The ring kills people if you use it too much, or maybe just at random.
Oh, what? That's crazy.
You do not seem as surprised at this as I am.
I'm taking a bet. She does like a spit take, like 5 seconds too late. Oh, I'm very. How did you find out? How did you?
There is a journal on it. Second, why were you asking how did I find out rather than how do you know? As if this is something you had already figured out.
Oh, Rahim, no, dear Rahim, absolutely no. It's just a turn of phrase. You know, I'm so shocked. I said something that sounded suspicious instead of surprised. But that's horrible. Oh, no. Oh, Rahim.
Rahim just looks to Tulsi for her reaction, to their reaction to all of this.
I think Tulsi's not near them. They're still in the courtyard.
So
Gojin
is there.
He's like leaning out a window and yelling down for this
Tulsi, you
conversation.
hear muffled yelling from upstairs.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, he's just, um, Rahim's just, okay, we're going to have that conversation later, Judsley. Right now, we know how they got the ring. We know that the town's economy collapsed a couple of months before everyone got poisoned. And we have ledgers and journals to prove it, as well as a seal, not sure whose, who we can use pretty much at will to attach to this story. So, good news, we have evidence. Bad news, they are definitely going to kill us. Worst news, I threatened to use this on a guy 2 days ago. I could have exploded.
I think that's when Tulsi just comes out from the courtyard through the house back to where they are, and they're like, "What's going on? Why is everybody yelling?"
The ring kills people.
Oh.
And Judsley knew.
That's a big accusation to throw out at someone, Rahim. I'm just as surprised as you are that that you found this out.
So at that point, Gojin just takes the moment to refill Johnsley's tea, and he just whispers, "Stop digging deeper. Just drink your tea and shut up."
I can't. I have to keep talking. I'm so sorry that this has happened to you, Rahim. Why don't you bring all the evidence down? Why don't we have a little meeting down here? You can join if you want to, or if you still want to guard the grave of your dead beloved, that's fine too. Whatever, take your time. Johnson's gonna gesture at
Robin's
Randra.
going to come down with the evidence on him, just kind of lay it out while he's copying stuff into the dossier. Yeah. So bad news, I'm pretty sure all the people who were like doing the copying at these villages died, because otherwise the ring would not have come free for me to grab. Good news, got this nice new piece of jewelry with some keys on it, a few of which I have not used yet. So if you find something locked, tell me and we'll figure that out. Right, let's see.
Well,
I
be
think
careful.
you're muted, Morgan.
I was in the wrong one.
Well, you know what? I'll take it. Sure.
But yeah, Tulsi just runs back inside and starts scouring for like little lock boxes and.
So my question is, how did the ring end up inside that figurine?
Well, Billy here presumably put it there. The question is, how did Uncle or whoever got it away from the family get it away from them between the previous owner dying and the company giving it to a new one? Because I would expect it to be under pretty harsh lock and key. And no offense, Kat, but you don't seem the most corporately trusted member of the family.
Yes, Mr. Cat, how did you come into possession of this ring?
And there's just dead silence.
Look, I know this is a really hard time for you right now, but time is of the essence here. This is something of an urgent matter. All of our heads are on the chopping block for this, so to speak, yours included. So we would really appreciate an expedient response.
And you see the cat, the panther, morph into your client and say, well, I guess I spent so much time being other people. This was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh shit. So he is Rahim's client and not the uncle.
No,
correct?
no, he is the
No.
uncle.
Okay.
He,
But he's
the
been
voice
pretending.
coming, the voice coming out is like no attempt to kind of sound like anybody in particular. Sounds very much like the very odious person you have been, or rather has been dragged with you.
Okay, that
And
was
then turns into you, Rahim, and it's like starts talking exactly like kind of mockingly. It's like I could keep going.
okay. So
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm just gonna nip that in the bud. Nip. What was your end game here? Then, if you acquired the ring, what then? Were you gonna stop the family business? Were you gonna, use it for your own gains? What were you trying to do?
I was just trying to break the circle until y'all came in and broke my plan.
It was a bad plan. I'm just going to put that out there right now. This was not a great plan of leave the treasure in a widely attended auction when your family knows what happened and have a really deniable alibi as to looking for it.
Well, I wasn't expecting my friend to suddenly die. They were quite capable of living for at least several hundred years and then kind of like hanging on to it, and by that time my family would have been in ruins and nobody would remember us, and that's all I wanted to do, get back at my family by making them lose the one thing they love, their legacy and name.
Oh, that's a significant. Wait a minute. Then how did he die?
That's a good question. I didn't have much time to find that out. I just saw the auction and knew that I needed to retrieve my goodies. But then you bought it, and I was unfortunately tied up. There was this mangy dog that chased me all the way into this corner, and I couldn't leave until the dog left. By the time I got back, you'd already gotten it.
What's the official cause of death on your friend?
Good question. I don't know. I didn't have time for that. Everything was happening very, very quickly.
I see. That's kind of suspicious.
Now that you think about it, that probably is suspicious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your friend got murdered.
Yes. I'm almost positive.
Probably due to my investigation, which is not my fault at all. I had no idea what was going on. We don't need to assign blame for this. We just need to figure out what our next plan is. And theoretically, okay. So we need to discredit the family. They're going to be bleeding money as long as we have the ring, which is good news.
Yes.
They are going to therefore be desperate to get the ring back, which is bad news. We need to discredit them, and we've got evidence to do it, but we need to publicize it, make people believe us, and enforce some form of consequences or get someone else to do so on our behalf before they can get a viable murder plan done. And we probably can't do it at the city with the latest murder evidence because we did kill a guard pretty recently.
This is all true. Is it possible that there's a third party who has learned of the ring's existence and murdered your friend and is also on our tail?
I mean, if I know my nephew and my brother very well, you weren't the only one hired, especially since you kind of didn't stay in touch with them.
Ah,
That's part of my. Oh, well, yeah, sure. That is fair. They probably grabbed another couple of people on the mercenary side. Let's see. So then we can expect them after us pretty shortly. Um, Theoretically, how attached are you to your family members remaining on the mortal plane?
I honestly do not care.
Okay. We'll call that plan like 6 or something.
I just want to interject there. I think that the 4 of us, 5 if you include Uncle Cat over here, attempting to take down a family empire is unlikely to happen because, well, I'm the only one here who can actually fight. And, well, yeah, that's just pretty much it. I'm the only one here that can actually fight. And while I'm pretty good at it, while I have a really nice sword for it, I don't think the numbers are on our side there.
Your side is now quivering the minute you mention a sword that's pretty good at it.
I think you hear from the window is like Tulsi comes out the same window that Rahim was like, I can fight too. You just haven't seen it. And they disappear.
yeah, no, seriously, they can turn into like a huge tiger or panther thing. I think we've got a panther on our side. We have a competent swordsman. We have a big lizard. You can chomp people if all else fails, right, Rahim?
I don't chomp people, but I am reasonably adept at defending myself.
Exactly. And I'm here to help if any one of you loses a limb or something.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good and fair and all, but you know, well, I think we can handle ourselves in a decent street fight. I don't think that invading a family keep is something that we would be particularly adept at.
Yeah. Let's put that off as if all else fails. For our current plan, we need to find someone with power who'd like to see these dudes taken down, who can actually use this evidence and get it into their hands.
Do you think that would be easy, though? I don't think any of us here have particularly high influence in high society.
I don't.
Would it be possible?
Well,
would it be possible to find a mystic of some sort that knows about this ring and can somehow reverse its curse?
I mean, look, if only one of us had like influential family on a tea plantation or something, we could have connections that could help us with this, but we don't. We don't have any of those connections. We're going to be working from scratch here, whatever we do. And I think aiming to bring this family down is better than just trying to neutralize the ring, because they're still probably going to try and kill us out of revenge if we neutralize the ring, though that would be great.
Fake Rahim sort of looks at all of you and says, that's an oddly specific influential family.
I just needed an example influential family.
Speaking of which, in a very awkward segue, we are going to take a very quick 5-minute break.
Wonderful.
And we will be back while the party figures out what to do. So we will be right back in about 5. Welcome, everybody.
Hey.
As you can notice, Connie's picture is now static, as Connie may not return after the break. So we're just going to, for the time being, for the rest of the stream, for like the last half hour, Jensley's there in the background. So we were in the middle of a discussion of what's going to happen, or sort of just fireside chat, so to say. Continue, please. While there is right now a Rahim and a fake Rahim staring at each other, having this conversation.
Look, I don't think we can. I don't think we have the option of trying to mitigate this rather than taking it head on in one way or another. Not like running in two humans, a shapeshifter, and a lizard, and another shapeshifter against the world, but like doing something that directly takes out their ability to have people kill us. We like getting this to a rival of theirs, getting this to some sort of government authority, just going to cities and getting them kicked out for multiple murders and the rest. The specifics don't matter. We need a course of action where at the end of it, we're alive, and whether or not they're alive, they are not trying to murder us. And I am taking suggestions here.
Or the easy thing would be you just keep running until they are broke.
Yeah, but that does make it a lot harder to go places I want to go. Which, admittedly, not everyone's highest priority right now. But
Also, Anino, I think you're muted somewhere if you were trying to say something in this conversation.
Well, at any rate, we can't do anything about it here. It's going to require us to move in circles where there are lots and lots of people. So, which direction is the nearest city, I guess?
We were pretty close to one, right? The taxi dude said that the...
Yeah, the caravan said they were going to be at a trading port close to a border. And actually the border is Registan specifically. So you're going more south at the moment. Or you are somewhat south.
We could head into Ragistan and see if we can find the origin of this thing, or at least who the last owner was and how they got, like, or the owner before the family, the dudes in the journal were, and see how they found it and got killed. Like, it's somewhere to start.
Yeah, I think so too. Plus, I could at least try to see if I have any merchant contacts that I can reach out to and get some information on.
All right. Sounds like the only plan we have at the moment.
And Thosi, are you doing anything else?
I'm looking for lock things. I'm just like,
right.
I'm just scrounging. Yeah.
Okay, so roll me a d20, please.
Okay. I need to recolor this dice. It's a 17.
17. Yeah, you find 2 or 3 things that you could carry that seem to have locks on them.
And I think at this time, Tulsi has them like stacked on top of each other, like kindle, like wood fire, and just like sort of like, I got things, and just waddles out, like just smiling and like, what did I miss?
Um, we were just figuring out our next. We were just figuring out our next destination, Tulsi. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Keys, please.
Oh yeah, sure. Wait, did you find something locked?
Yeah, and they just put down the boxes gently and like.
Yeah,
Okay.
the 3 boxes seem to be like the size of jewelry boxes, not necessarily our jewelry boxes, but they're the size, like they're like small little coffers, about yay big,
Yeah.
and
All
they're
right.
made of like
Yeah,
one
I
is
had no.
one is made out of metal, one is made out of the same nice hardwood that you saw in a lot of the furnishing. And the other one is made out of stone. So which one do you want to try to open?
You said there's one that's made out of metal, one made out of stone, and one made out of wood?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like polished.
I think wood
Okay.
is the first pick. Yeah. And
Uh,
I just start fiddling with the keys and try to find the right one.
yeah. So there is a key that opens it from that keychain, and in it you see what looks to be a pan kit. Most of the ingredients inside are either like desiccated or like the minute you touch it, they kind of just disintegrate into dust. But there is essentially like a nutcracker sort of a device where you can make little thin shards. It's like a it's not a nutcracker like you would think of where it just kind of cracks the nut. It's actually like a slicer, but you can also use it to crack nuts. Um, you see little pots of one has this brown substance, one has this white substance that's uh, uh, absolutely kind of like dried and almost just a powder at the bottom. You see the desiccated bits of beetle nut, and then the beetle leaf again. It's like dried and desiccated inside. If you touch it, it just disintegrates. It's the box is very like the box itself could be worth something because it's a very nicely made box and somehow preserved well. And the little beetle nut slicer and cracker is very well like it's got this nice edge, very nice edge, can really slice things, slice nuts very thinly. Uh, and the little cases are like silver almost, the small little pots that are there for the toppings.
How wide would you say is the little slicer? Like,
It could probably easily crack a walnut. It's like about
oh,
this big. And you
okay.
can crack one walnut. You can crack one walnut shell at a time, and then if you were to actually cut the walnut, you would get very nice fine slices. But this is specifically for beetle nuts, which have
Okay.
a similar texture, maybe harder than the walnut
Okay.
fruit inside.
I think Tulsi's like, I found things. I don't know if Tulsi's ever ran into
And-
beetle nuts like
yeah,
in her
and
in
Bon,
their area.
For those who don't know what it is, Bon is sort of like a thing you have like a mouth freshener afterwards. You can it's made out of beetle nut and beetle leaf, and there's all sorts of filling you can get. Mostly they're sweet, but it's got like it can be addictive because it's got certain substances that are similar to tobacco in terms of addictiveness and sort of the like not stimulants. I don't know much about Bon in terms of health effects, but it's like one of those things where it's like it's usually had after a meal. It's the thing that makes your mouth turn red when you chew it, and you never swallow it. You spit it out, which is why spittoons are also there, and they're served in that leaf. Like you make a little kind of a leaf samosa, of like sweet and beetle nuts and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that wooden box is essentially a Bon kit. you can use it as such, or you can probably trade it, barter it for a nice price. It's like a noble's kit quality. Like it where that I guess slicer or whatever is really sharp, well maintained. You could probably use it personally. You could sell it for a decent amount. The little pots are also really nice if you can clean them out. It's a pretty good set, essentially.
The reason why Tulsi was thinking, like, why I asked that, because Tulsi looked at the slicer and then looked at Rahim's finger and looked at the slicer, tilted her head.
It is sharp enough, it might work.
And they're like, that's their choice, and just start putting things back without saying anything else.
What do you mean that's their choice? Rob just like audibly is perked up and wondering what does that mean? Entirely missed the implication.
They're just like humming and putting things back together. Well, I was thinking, like, if you needed it to get off your finger, because I know it's a death contraption, right? The
yeah. The ring will probably kill me if it's taken off.
I just saw it and I just thought that it could possibly help you remove the ring from your hand.
Please do not cut off my finger.
I said that was your choice for a reason.
Okay. Just as long as we're clear there.
And that's why they're like putting things back and like just closes it up, and they're like, okay, do y'all want to open up any of these? And they point at the stone box and the metal box.
Yeah, absolutely. We should look through everything here to see if it's, in some way important.
And Tulsi tosses him the keys.
Yeah, Rahim will go through, unlock everything, and reattach the keys to his outfit.
Yeah. So that's one box. Do you want to open the others, or are you interested in?
Yeah, that's why Tulsi handed Rahim the key, so he could open up the other boxes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So which one, the metal or the stone one?
We'll do metal first.
Okay. So the metal one actually is very ornate and very like it's got like essentially filigree and lace and really pretty. And you found these boxes while kind of going over the master bedrooms and the top floor, like other rooms where family members would be. And it's very pretty. It looks like it might be silver. It's hard to tell because it's been tarnished a little. You'd need to appraise it properly or spend a little extra time kind of like by someone who would know how to appraise this. And as one of the iron keys actually opens it, and you see inside little pots of color, like they would be cosmetics, and one particularly large pot of vermilion.
All right. So that's pretty nice.
Again, it looks like they might be good quality if you can either clean, buff, and appraise it. So they might be worth something.
Yeah. So just get it open it up, see what's inside. We can't really appraise it here. We'll have to do that once we get somewhere. But yeah, that's good to know.
And then if you open the last box, the last box actually has little vials of strong smelling oils, which you think are probably perfume oils. Some of them have degraded, though. They don't smell as good, or it seems like they've been sitting for a while, so they're either rancid or they've degraded, or they've turned into vinegar, essentially. I mean, oil doesn't turn into vinegar, but that's similar feeling.
It's denatured.
It's denatured a little. But there's like maybe one or two where you can still get a hint of what they might have smelled like. I think you get one which might have been rose, one which might have been sandalwood, but they're like really twisted versions. Like it's been sitting for a while and not been used.
Okay, that is good to know. Yeah, seal that up. Like at some point, Tulsi or Junsley might want to look at it, since I think they both have, or Tulsi in particular might. I'm not sure if her like the herbology stuff in nature gives you anything related to it, but these should be plant derived. Otherwise, I will probably thrust the box at Gojun. Wait, no, I don't know if he knows any. I do not know anything about. Just yeah, hand it off the box. This one's just got denatured perfume in it, which don't know if any of you have anything you can do with that, but I don't. So enjoy. This one has got some stuff in it that might be worth something. We should get this appraised officially once we're in town. And do you got like we finished burying the bodies. We found the evidence we need. We did some light grave robbing. Is there and we have talked to this ghost about the terrible fate of everyone here. Is there anything else, like is there anything you guys would like to do out of character before we bail from the ghost town? All right, then in that case, I think Rahim's just going to put the stuff away, stand up. All right, we've got what we came here for, and we've put to rest who we can. We should get moving as soon as possible. Like, I have no idea what the state of pursuit is here, but I'm going to go ahead and assume faster than we'd like.
Okay, hold on. And Tulsi's gonna like run off to the plant back in the courtyard, and they're gonna just be like, "Okay, well, I gotta go, but and they're looking around and they're like trying to figure out like, does it rain often in this area, or like is it one of the drier areas of?
It rains quite heavily in the monsoon area in monsoon times, which is like out of the 12 months, about 3 or 4 months. The rest of the time it's kind of like temperate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
India has pretty different seasonal patterns to a lot of other places, but I assume we're kind of on the like dry, cold monsoon.
Yeah, like winter can get a little cold. And most of the rains is like, I would say, mid-summer to mid-fall.
Okay. And I'm gonna guess it's not monsoon season right now, right?
No.
Okay. I think with that, Tulsi's gonna try to find some way to like set up like, you know how like they have some gardening places have like some orbs that you fill with water and eventually the water will drain down.
Yeah, like silicate orbs.
Yeah. Tulsi's gonna try to find something like that, like around the house, and like try to fill up with water, and then like just stick it in the plant for the baby leaves, and just like pets one of them. Like, okay, I gotta go. Bye. Hopefully this helps.
Yeah, you could probably like with whatever, with a lot of the, I would say, I don't know if it's actually true, and you can do it. Please do not quote me on this. But like the cotton and sort of like absorbent things, you can like soak them and saturate them as much as you can and kind of bury them a little under to kind of do some sort of a slow release. But again, this is more of a stopgap.
Yeah,
there needs to be someone here to take care of it.
Mm-hmm. I know, and they're just gonna do like a, you know, because it's a plan of good fortune, just quickly to pray for good fortune and then head out to the rest of them.
All right.
If there's nothing else, are you planning on resting here for the evening? Because now it's like
way
after dark. It is nighttime now.
Let's go. Oh.
I would feel legitimately better about sleeping in the middle of the wilderness than I would about sleeping in the ghost town.
Why, you don't want to sleep with the ghost?
Do you?
I don't.
Rahim's just going to stay silent and let that statement speak for itself.
So here's the question: at any point with a firelight, unless you're traveling, do you read any more of the journal?
I'll probably read like a few pages before we go to sleep, just like slowly make my way through it.
Okay, because I have a little more information.
All right.
So after the very sudden loss of his beloved friend and servant, and mourning the loss of it, shortly after the wedding had happened, there was other drama happening his um with his brother, and and the whole wedding fiasco. And Kainat found out as well, after uh a servant or two who didn't eat came to them saying, this wedding happened and it was a very bad thing that happened. And Ranjha basically saying, screw you all, I want nothing to do with you. Uh, he realized that family and love is transitional, and the only thing that stays true and that um, can be focused on is their name, their legacy, and worked and made the mission of making sure that their name will always live on and that their legacy will always live on and that they stay in power and influence. And had gone to a couple of villages, and the names are there, and I will mention them in a bit. That the first town that they went to, they basically said that they were sages who could improve someone to craft more efficiently and faster, and would take the one sort of like, not ingenue, but like sort of the prodigy, the prodigy, and would take them away from the village to essentially have them use the ring and keep producing using their imagination, and sending money, of course, the bare minimum money, when they probably should be paying higher. And if they happen to die, well, they'd send a couple of more monies before a letter would come in saying that I am done with this village. I have found I have found better, and essentially a note saying that I've outgrown this village and I'm going off somewhere to find my fortunes.
Oh boy, that's rough. Well, we
And
now
that's
know
about
the
as much
details
many
of the
pieces.
scam.
Yeah, those are about as much before you could, like, before it's time to turn in for the day and everything. That's what you read.
All right, good to know. Also, deeply disturbing, but more in the psychological thriller sense where you just realized what's up with a serial killer. What I guess I think what Rahim's looking for is like details in these journals. He's trying to figure out this dude's writing style and handwriting patterns and stuff so that he can, in essence, fake correspondence from him. Now that we have this seal that may or may not be his.
The writing's pretty consistent, so you know that it is written by one person. And you could spend some time studying it. You won't learn it overnight, but
yeah.
Unless there's an ability that allows you to just magically do so.
I don't have one at the moment. I just have the dossier, which can copy information, but don't have anything for instant forgeries yet.
Okay. Do you share that with the rest of the group? as you were reading
Yes,
this.
I am absolutely sharing that with the rest of the group. Yeah, I tell everyone basically like, so this is how they did it. These are the places that he's mentioned in the these are the places that I've mentioned in the journals so far. The journals were abandoned in town, so I figure he probably left them behind when they bailed. I'm reasonably certain that the seal we have is, or at some point was, the leader of the family's personal seal, though I'm going to need Cat to confirm that for me if he wouldn't mind talking for a minute or two.
Oh, you want me to talk like you now, do you?
Yeah. Do you recognize, like, and Rahim just pulls out the seal, flourishes it. My screen is deleting my hand again, so I can't really see it. But
But you're
do
showing
you
the
recognize
seal.
the seal? Yeah, I'm showing him the seal.
And says, looks at it and says, well, this was my father's seal. I don't know why it would be left behind. It's also not the seal we've been using in like 20, 30 years.
I have a wait, not been using in 2030. I have a cunning plan.
You'll forgive me if I mention that I don't find that very comforting.
You probably shouldn't. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
I mean, I'm just going to point out here that none of your plans have worked so far.
Not quite accurate. We did find evidence here in this ghost village, and when we went into the negotiations with the dude, I did in fact manage to grab him and yell at him until information came out. He's just kind of an idiot who doesn't know much. So,
and you see him basically copying you in a mocking way, just mouthing at you.
I think Tulsi's just sitting there, just kind of like trying not to laugh. They're just like,
but yes, I think we have enough here that we can fake a confession that was discovered before, like from before his whatever was left of his conscience withered away and was discovered more recently, and then have evidence come out afterwards while they're discrediting the initial confession. Have that cut off their contacts and the like, as their reputations kind of in tatters from all the murder accusations, and then improvise wildly. I have about 50% of a cunning plan.
I think Tulsi just looks at you with their big eyes and just like blinks a couple times, just like unsure.
And if there isn't any other things we want to discuss, I will say that this is probably a good way to end the evening if you are planning on sleeping in this place, and also for this particular session.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, let's quickly go around the table. Let's go backwards with who had gone first. So I think Bashir, why don't you take it away?
Hey, I'm Bashir Gauss, he, him. You can find me at Twitter at Bashir Gauss. I do freelance work for all sorts of companies in the tabletop game sphere, and I publish my own indie games at havocfet.itch.io.
Yeah, and Anino.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Anino. You can find me and follow me on Twitter. That is at Anino Gaming. As for what's coming up next, I have no idea. There's so much going on, and yet so little money to be made from it. So follow me there. Maybe I might post something witty and funny. Maybe I might post something pretty depressing and stale. Who knows? That's the brand right now.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh, goodbye.
Oops. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna
It's
bother
okay.
changing the videos towards the end. It's all good. We're all playing musical chairs at the moment.
I am now Gojin. It's okay. Hello. I'm Morgan. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. I do podcasting with Powered by the Players, Role to Play Network with Red Death, and the mainstream right now. Oh my god, you have a cat and I have a cat.
Which one's the real Uncle Cat?
I also do streaming like here on Huetopia, as well as currently on actual playing with Sean Nittner. We're playing Apocalypse Keys. That'll be this Sunday over there at some time. I forgot when. But at the time, just follow me on Twitter. You'll see it. Yeah, that's about it. I do things. And then Connie, you should check out their Transplanter game where they GM and it's all trans game. I forgot what system it is, but you should go check it out so you can learn for yourself. Yeah.
Yay! Thank you for shout out to Connie, who unfortunately had to leave mid game. I hope you feel better. And yeah, I am Mariam. I am the guide for today's game. I am also a caretaker here at Huetopia, so you can see me skulking around on the Discord, and doing like tomorrow we will be having a For the Queen game with currently we're still deciding who the cast is, but we will announce who the cast is on Twitter tomorrow as it gets finalized, with our other caretaker Jess facilitating the game, so it's going to be something fun to watch. And I realized I just muddled things up. I should have finished talking about myself, but hey, you can find me on Twitter at Media Junkie, so you can find all the things I'm doing over there. With that, please tune in tomorrow 9 o'clock for Game Roulette for the Queen. And with that, we are now going to raid, and I believe one of our Fave Beans, Kupo, is currently playing Genshin Impact, so we will go raid. If you can stick around for a little while, just a little longer, we'll go say hello to Kupo and give them some love. And with that, we will return in 2 weeks, in October, the date that I should have probably had in front of you. And thank you everybody for joining in, for subbing, for hosting, for bits, for following, subbing. I did say sub. All of the good things. All right.
All the Twitch things.
Yeah. With that, I'm gonna move over to our end of stream thing, and please stick around and give Kupo some love. Bye everybody. Oh no, I'm so good at this. I'm amazing.